There's really no sugarcoating it. Writing a cover letter or a personal statement is hard work. In fact, they're probably some of the hardest things to write because there are some rules. But we don't always know what our reader wants. Add to that the fact that it feels odd to write about ourselves, and these documents have to pack a lot into a short space. But writing one well can literally be life-changing. It can mean the difference between languishing in your current job and moving into a more advanced position or getting into the best medical school for you. That's why it is so worthwhile to get good at this kind of writing. Today at Study Hall Rhetoric and Composition, we're talking about how to create personal statements and cover letters that effectively achieve our goals as we construct our identities in society. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily Zarka, and welcome to Study Hall Rhetoric and Composition. Working in depth on a particular kind of writing helps us put into practice some of the bigger picture ideas we're discussing throughout the series. As with other episodes in our series, today we'll tackle writing in action and go into detail on types of writing that show up in our lives. This time, cover letters and personal statements. Now, even though pretty much everyone is going to have to write either a cover letter or a personal statement or both, let's make sure we know exactly what we're talking about. A cover letter is a letter that's included with a variety of job applications that discusses what appeals to you about a job and how your experiences make you a great fit for that job. In fact, it's literally structured like a letter. And a personal statement is also a written statement or essay explaining your experience and why you're a good fit. But personal statements are used for college, grad school, or scholarship applications instead of for jobs. Personal statements and cover letters both qualify as genres, or kinds of writing that share and are defined by particular characteristics. Many genres share things like similar length, a particular narrative arc where particular plot points happen, or even recognizable characters or situations. And writing tasks that fall into a particular genre are relying on these shared characteristics or often unspoken rules to accomplish their goal. Just like when a horror movie uses a dissonant chord like this, that's the music telling you that something scary is lurking in the shadows. For personal statements and cover letters, one of the main unspoken rules or expectations is that we talk about ourselves, like the entire time. In fact, writing a personal statement or cover letter that's both true and purposeful can be a challenge because most of us struggle with self-assessment, which is our understanding of how good we are at something or how appropriate our skills are to a task. With writing that wants us to compose or construct pictures of our identity, we're shaping not just a single document, but also our own self-image. Rhetoric thinkers actually have studied how we construct identities, like we might construct a house, and identities are built from many parts of our experiences. So conveying and constructing our identity is a core part of both genres, and they also share the need for substantial reflective prep work. That being said, when reflecting on who we are, we'd probably include both strengths and weaknesses, if we're brutally honest with ourselves. But in both personal statements and cover letters, the genre convention is generally not to talk about weaknesses. We want to be accurate, but we also want to persuasively represent our best selves. Another characteristic to consider is that when possible, a cover letter or personal statement should showcase our personality, what we're interested in, and our writing and communication skills. It might be easier to make a dry bullet point list of everything we've done, but both of these genres expect a story or well-supported case of why who we are is right for this job or school. Also, they aren't just stories from our lives. They're meant to be part of a persuasive point, which is convincing them that we should be admitted to the school. That doesn't mean just saying, please admit me, but rather showing them why admitting us or giving us the job is a good idea. So you'll often see explicit examples mentioned in cover letters and personal statements. Though some genre characteristics can be more about logistics. Like both cover letters and personal statements usually come with some kind of length or space limit, and that guides our writing in many ways. For instance, it forces us to pick the most important messages to share, rather than writing our entire autobiography. And because so many people write these genres, there are some templates and typical ways of writing them that can be tempting to use as a structure, but copying in any way is likely to go poorly. This isn't just because direct copying is plagiarism, but also because telling the exact same story someone else told won't be as compelling as the points you can make about your actual life. And finally, these are big deal documents. One last genre rule is that they should be as grammatically clear and stylistically consistent as possible. That might mean getting someone else to read them a couple times before submitting them, since they can have such a big impact on your future. So first, let's think about how we might approach writing a personal statement. Personal statements are generally about showing why you're a good fit for a school, scholarship, or other program. But each program is going to have specific rules within the overall genre. The first step is to check out the guidelines, because following the directions while also showing our personalities is an important expectation with these essays. Some schools or awards might provide different prompts to choose from. Things like, tell us about a time you experienced a challenge and how you overcame it, or what appeals to you about this program. Other programs will ask for an open-ended personal statement, in which case, a statement that directly addresses the biggest reasons why you're a good fit for the program or school is usually what they're looking for. The guidelines will also tell us if there's a word count or page limit, or roughly how long the readers are expecting our personal statement to be. This is also where they'll talk about specific formats they're looking for, like if we need to upload a PDF or there are specific font or spacing requirements. And if we're applying to multiple places, it can be tempting to repurpose one good idea over and over, but writing too little, too much, or off the topic can get us disqualified, no matter how amazing the statement seems. So definitely make sure you've made an effort to review the guidelines and personalize each submission where you need to. Now, digging into the statement itself, since the space is usually limited, we have to make sure every sentence does interesting, relevant work. We want to put our most interesting points forward, cutting off anything that's off topic or repetitive. We'll want to use first-person language, focused on ourselves, even if we've written formal essays in the past where using I was not allowed. Let's consider the example of Lester, who's applying to a program in environmental sustainability. To start, he evaluates the guidelines. There's a 500-word maximum answering the question, what motivates you to learn more about environmental sustainability? This idea of motivation prompts him to think up a bunch of times when he felt motivated about environmental sustainability, including classes he's taken and a particularly gruesome river cleanup community service activity. He thinks about all the positives that he wants to be able to convey through the story he's telling. Schools often want people who've shown they're hard workers, who have been interested in the topic for a long time, and who can work with other people. Lester needs a story that demonstrates those qualities, but without him having to just say, I'm so hardworking, or other direct statements. He wants the story to prove his points. He settles on a statement that focuses primarily on how participating in a zero-energy home build project in college taught him about the long road to making sustainability gains in the real world. This story allows him to talk about some elements that he brought to the project that will also make him a strong grad student. He wasn't afraid to dig for new ideas in the research. He was resourceful and willing to adapt when there were budget constraints, and he remained concerned that there was always more they could do even after the project was completed successfully. So yeah, figuring out what parts of our life story are pithy and interesting and relevant is no small feat, so it can be helpful to look for examples to get inspired. Lester had to think through a few motivating moments before he found one that could be explained quickly while still effectively showing who he was. Now, unlike personal statements, which can answer a variety of prompts, cover letters pretty much all follow a similar structure and focus mostly on our work selves. Our cover letters show a company the person behind the list of experiences and education that's on our resumes, and why we should be considered for a particular job or position. But they're rarely focused on our personal lives. Rather, it shows how we'll be a great fit for the company by conveying what we've learned and accomplished in all our work or volunteer experiences and education. It does convey personality, but focuses on the personality elements that will make us effective colleagues and workers. So let's get into exactly how to write a cover letter. First things first, assume the hiring managers will read our resumes, so we don't need to summarize it or repeat items from it. Instead, we're putting our most crucial experience and education into the context of this job, saying things like, because of experience X, I'll be good at job requirement Y. Unlike personal statements, which vary a lot in structure, there's a fairly accepted template to use for many of the cover letters we'll write. Let's look at those sections. First, there's a salutation or greeting, focused on the appropriate contact for the position. Then we'll have an introductory paragraph stating things like what position we're applying for, where we heard about it, and giving a summary of why we're right for the job. After that, focus on elaborating on what makes us right. We can use parts of our experience and education to support those claims, but we don't just restate how many years we did a position or that we went to a particular school. Go into why those experiences would be so helpful to succeeding in this role. Finally, most people have a wrap-up section that states the most persuasive connections between our experience and the job description, a call to action, and wrapping up after that with a formal closing salutation. That's the basic format. And with just that, I'm sure you'll write a solid cover letter. But there are a few other things to remember along the way. 1, clearly relate the cover letter to this specific job. Keep in mind that using the exact language and key terms from the job description can help us, since it showcases how thoroughly we've read the description and we know what we're getting into. 2, these days, applicant tracking systems, or ATSs, are databases that let employers keep track of many applications and stay organized. If our cover letters don't contain the right keywords, the software may reject or lower our applications in the rankings the ATS generates. Also, follow the uploaded guidance exactly, since putting photos or weird formatting can also confuse the ATS, potentially jeopardizing our applications. But we can also let those keywords help us find our evidence or proof to use. If they want candidates who are open to a fast-paced environment, we can mention elements in our background that specifically prove we can handle spontaneous meetings and phone calls. So yes, cover letters and personal statements can be hard or intimidating to write if we're not prepared. But genre characteristics can go a long way in helping us effectively convey our identities while achieving our goals. We have to let go of the feeling that we're misrepresenting ourselves if we focus on the good in these documents. We have to be honest and support our statements, but we get to focus on what will make us a great fit for a school or job. When we ask ourselves, what qualities are they looking for in this job or scholarship money or college spot, we can start to connect the dots between what they're looking for and what we have to offer. We get clues from the school's website or the job responsibilities list, as well as our own knowledge of what kind of people we like to work with and study with. And by knowing what schools and employers expect from these genres, we can work within them to achieve our goals while also becoming more skillful writers and getting to know ourselves more. And really, you can practice this genre when the stakes are less high. Anytime you see a scholarship application for a cool summer camp or a nifty job you might take if you got it, you can dive into the application and test out your ability to make valuable stories from your life prove an argument about why you're a great fit. You'll probably learn quite a bit about your own identity in the process, and might know more about what you want from some future school or job. Not a bad outcome, regardless of whether you get the gig or not. Thanks for watching Study Hall Rhetoric and Composition, which is part of the Study Hall Project, a partnership between ASU and Crash Course. If you liked this video and want to keep learning with us, be sure to subscribe. You can learn more about Study Hall and the videos produced by Crash Course and ASU in the links in the description. See you next time.